You bought the bag, you scanned the code, and now you're here cooking with me, Panini Pete, and we are gonna make the world famous beignets, all right? These are from the Fairhope French Quarter. We have been making these for 16 years, making crazy amounts of them. Everybody loves them, so it was time to come up with a mix. So I wanna take you through this. Instead of just giving you a bag and giving you directions, I'm gonna take you through the whole process of how to make them. We're gonna make it easy, we're gonna make it fast, and these are a little bit non-traditional. It's almost like a play on a pâte à choux dough, which is a little more pastry-esque. And people tend to be intimidated by that. And we don't want you to be intimidated. This is like so easy and so fun. And for me to prove to you how fun and how easy it is, I've called in a ringer, okay? So I am sitting here in some good friends of mine's house, Keith and Stephanie Glines, and I'm gonna bring Stephanie in, introduce Stephanie to you. Yay,
hey,
Stephanie.
Pete.
How are you?
I'm well.
Thank you for letting me use the kitchen, and thank you for taking this moment to show everybody how easy this could be, right?
Sure, I'm excited. This is gonna make me like in charge of brunch from now on, I'm sure.
You're not right now?
No, gosh.
So you haven't cooked these before, just so the audience knows.
Never made
Not a
them
ringer.
yet.
We're not just pretending. You haven't worked at Panini Pete's.
Never.
You're not an expert. So we're gonna show you how easy this is, Steph. First thing we wanna do is have our equipment ready. We've got our little countertop Fry Daddy here set at 360, and we have a traditional just cauldron of oil here with a thermometer, so you have the right temp. That's important. You don't want them, if it's too hot, they're gonna get crunchy and brown and overcooked on the outside before the inside cooks. If it's too cold, they're gonna be a grease ball. So, you know, even though you may not be used to using that, a temperature gauge is great to have on there. Have the right one. You need like a candy thermometer, a fryer thermometer, not just a traditional meat thermometer. So first things first is we have water and we're gonna put butter in here. We're making the 1 cup batch that you'll see on the back. So this should make about 2 dozen beignets. So it's 1 cup of water. I'm gonna add the butter in there and we're gonna get that just before we turn it up. We're gonna make sure we have our mix sifted and our eggs beaten. So once it gets up to temp, things have to happen fast. You need that residual heat. If you try to boil your water and butter and let it sit off to the side, it's gonna get flat. You have what's called foaming of the eggs, so that residual heat is what really gives them the pop. You know, when you see those things, they blow up. You ate one earlier today, didn't you?
Oh, a few.
And brought some over from the shop. So what I wanna do is we'll show how we sift this stuff, the mix. So I have a cup already in here. This is 1/3 of a cup. So for that recipe, it's 1 1/3. I can come right out of the bag with that. And with baking, you got to be precise. Do you do a lot of baking?
I do a little bit of baking.
A little bit of baking. So you want to tap that down. Sorry, I'm going to make a mess on your counter a little bit. Tap it down, level it off. You know, because if you have too much dry mix, it's going to be too dry of a base. If there's not enough, it's going to be too wet. So I like to sift that right into a bowl. I usually just a small screen sifter. I kind of give it a pop like that. Let it kind of roll over itself. Sifts it out really good. Eggs. See how quick and easy that was? That was so fast. So eggs, there's a little bit of residual salt and sugar in there. This mix, that's one of the good things with the mix is you've got all your seasonings in there. It's more than just flour. It's got vanilla flavor. It's got everything you need in there to make these outstanding. I've got 3 in there already. I'm just going to crack one real quick, show you how I like to crack them so you don't get shells. And then I'm going to let you whisk the eggs.
I can do that.
You can do that. So I like to do just on a flat surface and create a dimple right in there. Not on the edge like people do, and where you create that dimple. The thumbs go in the dimple, you separate it, no shells. You want to whip these up, Steph?
I can do that.
Real good, and what I like to do with that too is just fold it right over the top. A lot of times what I'll do with the wrist is just pick it up, lay it down, pick it up, lay it down, just like that.
Are you telling me I don't know how to whisk?
No, I was giving you an additional method of whisking.
Okay.
So while this is going, we're almost on standby. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the butter into the pot. So if you'll see, I got a 1/4 pound of butter here. I'm gonna cut this in small pieces because what you don't want is the butter coming ice cold out of the cooler or your refrigerator, and then you put a big clump in there, and then the water's boiling and the butter hasn't softened yet. You still have lumps or nuggets of it in there that haven't broke down. You know, when we make huge batches at the restaurant, you know, we may have a couple pounds of butter in there. If you get somebody new that's not paying attention and they just cut it in half and throw it in there, as that water starts to boil, you know, you still have that butter slowly melting. So you want it all to come up together. All right, we get this on high because we want to bring that up to a rolling boil. And the butter, the milk fats that are in that butter, you'll see it kind of rise up the side of the pot. So we want that to be really hot. And once it comes off, we're going to make the dough right in this pot. So you need a pot that has ample room to create the dough in, and you can whisk in there and stir in there. While we're doing that, while we're waiting for this to come up, the good thing is now we're ready to roll. If you get your butter and you get your water on and you go to boil it and then you start sifting and whisking and whatnot, you'll get behind. Or you'll have to turn that off and let it cool, and you're going to end up with kind of sweet hush puppies instead of the fabulous, glorious beignets, because we want those things to pop. Well, you know, when I opened Panini Pete's many years ago, it was just lunch. So I'd be in there in the morning and doing all this work and doing all this prep, and I was like, you know, it would really be nice if we could kind of get that register warmed up a little bit early in the day and, you know, get a little sales going. So being it was the Fairhope French Quarter, I said, nobody's doing beignets, so I got to do beignets. And I just said, I think it'll work. So realistically, I'll be completely honest here. I went and bought a box of a beignet mix and made it and rolled it out and did the whole thing and cooked it. And I was like, these really are not that good. I didn't enjoy them. And it was a little bit of work involved, and I had work to do. I just wanted to warm up the register easily. So I wanted to work on a wet dough process.
So when you started, were you originally making like a traditional New Orleans beignet?
I did once, you know, and then immediately said, this is not gonna work. I needed something that was fast and something that I could do quick, you know, that's just not like a dough you have to roll and cut, and it's a lot of work. And as you see, this thing can all come together really quick. So right away I switched. I said, that's not going to work. I said, let me play around with wet dough recipes. So pâte à choux and different variations of that, different egg ratios. And I even talked to some buddies that were chefs in New Orleans and like, man, I'm doing this thing. Is this like cool? You know, I needed somebody to kind of give me they go, oh yeah, beignets are, you know, all over the place. A lot of people use that. They have savory beignets, different things that go on. So it's a lot more than just what you think. And as you come back later, we're going to include different videos where we'll show you how to make beignet sliders, bacon, egg, and cheese sliders, bread pudding out of beignets. We're going to do some banana walnut beignets. But right now, these are traditionals. So this is just starting to get a little ripple around the edge. And you can see the butter's breaking down, but there's still a few little lumps in there. So if you'll look in there, you can see. Now, if I left those in bigger chunks, we'd be in a bad way because they would not be melting down. So you did a great job on the eggs. They look fantastic.
When you taught me how to whisk.
Yes, you got to get that. You got to pick it up because you want a little air in there. To really make it special and finish it off, we're going to use the mighty spatula.
Oh yes,
of course,
the spatula.
The spatula, that's so important. This is coming up now, Steph, and you can see how the milk fats are in there, the solids. And as it starts to come up, it'll literally rise. It's almost like the volume of water is increasing. And that's where you really want to get it, right in that sweet spot. As it starts to boil, it just doesn't boil like just plain water. It's going to start to come up, and that's when we're just about ready. You want that residual heat in there to foam those eggs. So I'm going to cut this off. All right, that's coming up now. So we're going to go right in with the mix. This is our all-in-one mix. Everything in there you need other than the stuff that we're adding. All right, I want to get it all in there. So originally what we'll do is whip this up. It's going to kind of come together almost like mashed potatoes. If you look at this, and we have to tap the sides. I kind of want you to show everybody how easy this is.
Oh, I know. That anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it.
If I can do it.
Yes. Get in there good. You see, it's almost like a mashed potato consistency. Oh, yeah. You want to, keep it clear so you don't get any lumps in there. See how that all came together? Now that's still got a lot of residual heat in there, which is good. Don't fry it yet.
Just yet.
Don't start to fry it just yet. I'm gonna hit it one time just because
you have more strength
I'm
than
like
I do.
that, you know.
Yeah.
Need to do that. Make sure we have. When you hit this on the side, I always kind of block it. You don't want anything flying out of the pan. Again, I'm not worried about it. You could get burnt, but you could shoot your eye out. But more importantly, you'll mess up the ratio. We don't want that happening. So get all that out of there. And usually when you're using a whip, you know, some are like whisks. They're really light, soft wired. Some are stiff, what they call like a piano whip. And I like a stiffer one for doing this, since you're not just trying to incorporate air into it. The eggs, we're going to temper in the eggs. What's tempering mean? Do you know?
Well, you're getting, so they don't like cook because it's hot.
Yeah, we don't want scrambled eggs, so tempering them
yeah.
is adding a little bit at a time. You know, those eggs coat the dough, and then it starts to drink it up. So we add it in 3 stages, so again, it won't get too hot too fast and end up with scrambled eggs. And just as that starts to drink up all the eggs, you'll see it'll tighten up. It'll still have a shine, but it won't be that wet shine. It's still a nice, smooth, shiny dough. And that's it, man. It looks great. Look at that and smell it. You get that? Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Scoop in the fryer. This is a number 30 scoop. Dip it in there first so the dough comes out easy. And again, you want to introduce the dough to the fryer. You don't want to drop it, plop it in there, because that's dangerous. So a little quick scoop, and they go in fast. Usually I set an 8-minute timer when the last one goes in. So if you got a phone ready, we'll set a timer, but let's start popping a few of these in there. See that? So this is pretty hot over here. So I'm gonna get 3 or 4 in there pretty fast just to kind of cool that down. Or 5 or 6. And then if you want to do them traditionally in the fryer, I drop these down in the grease first. I don't want the dough to rest on the bottom of the fry basket because it'll get stuck in there. You want to try some of these, Steph?
Sure.
They're easy, quick release. A little something to stir these around. This grease over here was a little hot. So, you know, the good thing is when you have your timer set, you know you're going to cook them properly. All right, the good thing with the spatula is you can pull this right down to the edge. Now with this dough, if you can't cook it all in one batch, you know, you do what you can that'll fill in these baskets. Not over tight, don't jam it in there because they need to have room to swim. These over here get pretty hammered. This grease got a little too hot. I'm gonna turn that down, let them cool. You can see these. Yeah, those are working perfectly. You've got the nice, you can see how these are starting to split and pop open, but this heat just got a little too intense over here. So be real careful when you're cooking and just pay attention. You know, watch the thermometer. If I'd have been watching a little closer, I probably wouldn't have left those in there. They're a little toasty. You know, they start to get dark, but they're still gonna be real wet inside. And there's almost like a shell on here. It's a very different texture. So these aren't gonna be as delicious as you'd like. I've cooked these all over the world. The beignets are so cool. They become this like signature item for Panini Pete's. And with Mess Lords and Navy Entertainment, I've cooked these in Japan, in Guam, in Bahrain, in Africa, in you know, Puerto Rico, Spain, Italy, on not cruise ships, on aircraft carriers and submarines. Pretty crazy. So these are working really good. I would recommend this. And then when they come out, of course, we're going to hammer them with the powdered sugar. And one of the secret weapons that I thank my mom for this. So I always bring some lemons. And even on the back, you'll see, don't forget the lemon. So when I was really young, my mother used to make German pancakes for us a lot, especially when we had company. She didn't make it for us a lot when we had company. And they were really cool, kind of a popover dough she used to bake. You ever had German pancakes? So they're really neat, kind of a popover style dough that she would bake, and always served them with powdered sugar, drawn butter, and lemon. And that lemon is such a great, obvious contrast. You think of pound cake, lemon heads, things like that. That sweet, that sour, that acid, and that sugar is so good. And it really, I was probably selling beignets for 6 months. And one day, one of the servers was over there cutting lemons for the tea in the morning. And it kind of hit me. I thought about those German pancakes, and I grabbed some lemons and try these. And everybody was like, why would you do that? What's a lemon doing on there? And then they taste it and go, oh my God. And it was so good. That was the next level, secret weapon. So I called mom right away. I called my sisters and like, man, guess what I'm putting on the beignets? Lemons. They're like, oh, German pancakes. They knew. I'm gonna pull these out so they can float, let them swim freely in there, and I can just prop these up, and the baskets will be good to, when I pull them out of there, to put them in the basket to drain. But this way you could pop them around, a little slotted spoon, or I'm using a little metal flipper here, burger flipper. You wanna get these sides all cooked on all sides. You see they split open like a little Pac-Man. About 2.5 minutes to go. So these are gonna be available online. They're gonna be available in all the restaurants and some local grocery stores, so you need to get a pack. It's easy to whip these things together. It's easy to enjoy our famous Panini Pete's French Quarter beignets anywhere you go. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to just see this. And there's so many good things coming up. We touch base on the spatula, the mighty spatula. So I have a book, Spatula Success, that's getting ready to drop. And it talks a lot about, you know, the power of these little things. That's a little dirty one. Let me get a clean one for this purpose. But, you know, I found in cooking, in life, a lot of things, you know, we often overlook that last little bit of dough. People overlook that last little bit of aioli or jelly or peanut butter and think of it as insignificant and it doesn't really matter. But when you realize how important that stuff is, and when you dig deep and get it, and as you build that, when you do that consistently, you start creating abundance, you start creating a lot of value. So that's my little teaser for Spatula Success. Let's pull these. I think they're about ready to go. You know, again, if you have a little bit of a slotted spoon or one of those what we call a spider, You want something that, you know, not gonna melt. This will work. Just got to be careful because they get a bounce. You don't want to drop them on the floor. You got a future in this business.
You think?
No. A lot of times what we'll do in the restaurant is put them right into a big bowl. And then it's easier to hit with the powdered sugar. So when they come out hot, you want to hit them really hard when they're warm so that sugar sticks on there. So you can have a, you know, I just have a small sifter here. So we'll hit them good with that. Again, if you have them in a bowl, then you can toss them. And when you get ready to serve, like say in the restaurant, you know, that's something that we're going to have right there. When we sell a plate, then it goes even next level real quick. And this is where you could get in however you want. You know, if you want to put cinnamon sugar on there or something, go ahead, you know. If you want to put some cocoa powder in there, go ahead with that too. But when you get ready to serve them, that's when you really lay it on thick. There should be a nice pile on there. Lemon wedge on the side. What I like to do is just, boom, throw a lemon at the camera. Or better yet, just hit that right on top. From a standpoint of the people that are out there just bought a bag, that's not a big deal, right? You can make that.
All of your
It's not a
dry
big deal.
ingredients are already, you know, it's
But they're perfect. I mean, that's
what we're looking for, you guys. Nice and light. The inside is cooked, but moist. See that? So it's got a moist appearance. It's a wet dough process, so it's not undercooked. It's just right. So you get that extra layer of love in there. Oh. Oh. Thanks for tuning in. I think that's a wrap. We got beignets. We did it. We made it. First time. We rolled through, and it was fantastic. So get a bag, share a bag, buy a bag, send a friend a bag, and eat these beignets, man. You're going to be glad you did. Ciao for now.